Hello and welcome to the 91st episode of the Gochuucast, and today we have ourselves another guest. This one happened pretty quickly, but I got a line for him in, so I'm just gonna do like maybe once a month or something like that. And today's February's guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. I am RJ from the channel On the Rise AMV. Um, I guess I should say what I do. Typical AniTube stuff, review anime in a way where I grab my camera, go outside underneath a tree, and decide to talk about, my favorite waifus. Um, that's not actually what I do, but I enjoy talking about anime. Typical anime review stuff, really.
Okay, but here we can talk about your favorite waifus.
Okay, all right.
Lay them out.
There you go.
Oh God.
Yeah, you gotta
Um,
list them. You gotta list them.
You may
Sorry
be
to put
judged.
you on the spot.
You
I
never
just
know.
had
On the
nowhere
spot.
else to go.
Um.
Let
Okay.
me find my top 25 because
Oh my
Daniel and I have actually made big graphics
Mhm.
of Daniel has
They have power
a
rankings.
format that he had made. Yeah, we do have power rankings. Mine have
Oh, yeah,
not
I
been
do have my
updated yet.
thing, but we have not introduced my rankings for this month.
Have you updated?
Yeah, I've had it
I have
ready.
not
I just
updated
never
yet.
did anything.
I haven't had movement. All right.
I don't know where it is, honestly.
So for your purposes, here's my top 25 in
Let me
the
see.
January rebalancing. No movement
Oh,
since then, probably.
okay. Okay.
Oh wait, it's December. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know where mine is. Hold on.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't have a list like this, but I can just list off
Yeah, that's valid.
people,
That's valid.
Yeah, that's
I
people
just
I
thought
yeah.
I felt
Oh,
like
Lena
yeah,
being third. That's yeah, that's
Yeah, you
good.
probably
we're
shouldn't have a
big.
list like this. This is like.
This is a lot. I will say, Lena being third. I've been rewatching 86
Mhm.
over the past like 2-3 months with some friends, and we finally finished the season 2 rewatch yesterday, and
Okay.
it's very valid. But also, I love 86. I think it's probably my favorite anime of all time.
That's fair. That's legitimate. Kana being fourth.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um. So some of my favorites. Well, my all-time favorite is Makoto Misaka from Railgun.
Okay.
Um, it's
I've only
absolutely
seen a little bit of Railgun, but that feels valid to me.
I've seen all of
Yeah.
Real Good.
I like her. I just don't know if I've seen enough to rate her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's my favorite. Everyone else I haven't really ranked. Chisato from Licorice Recoil, Yor from Spy Family, Nami from One Piece. Uh, hmm, hmm. I'm drawing a blank here. Who's some of my favorites? I think I have a list somewhere. Somewhere. I
See,
don't
we've
actually know.
made at this point so many lists. Like this power ranking is the culmination of us making so many lists over time and eventually us having a conversation on the podcast recently, like
Mhm.
within the last 10-15 episodes where you're like, wouldn't it be funny if you just had like a power ranking and just updated it every like month or two? And so Daniel did. And then I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna make one too. Give me your format.
Oh, that's one I keep forgetting. I don't know how I keep forgetting her. Rin Totsuka from Fate.
Oh yeah.
Um, we just
So
finished talking
I
about.
have
Yeah.
Ishtar at 4 on mine because I think Ishtar is my favorite, but that slot is kind of just like a Rin Tosaka in all variants slot.
Exact. Like people ask me, "Oh, Ishtar or Rin," and I'm like, "Oh, well, it's like they're the
Ishtar
same
is
character.
just
They're not
Ishtar
the same."
is just Rin with some spice.
Exactly. It's like they're like the same character in a way, but it's like they're not the same person. Fate is Fate, but it's like
Fate is weird.
when I say Rin, I mean all of them, all of them.
Yes.
Ishtar, Ereshkigal, all of them, all of them. I love all
Yeah.
of them.
Which is the same for mine. Like if you told me what's my favorite Rin face, I would probably say Ishtar, but
Yeah,
all of them
yeah,
are very important to that position.
definitely. I think yeah, that's just kind of my favorite waifus.
Some good ones. Nothing
Yeah,
egregious.
can't make fun of you for any of them, so congratulations.
What would be one that you would make fun of for?
I don't. I feel like I mean, there's probably plenty, but like they just some they just like jump out at you. Like when it,
Mhm.
I
I
guess
think
when
if you said anyone from Rent a Girlfriend, we might throw hands.
Yeah, like
Oh,
unless it's like Sumi's chill.
So I'm
Anyway,
a mommy fan, guys.
Sumi's
Is that
okay.
okay? Like,
Oh
You
no,
know what?
we agree because she
Mommy
tries to
fan
end the
is
series.
valid. Yeah, mommy actively attempts to finish things. So
Mommy's got an interesting personality. I'll say that.
I
Yeah.
like how PK, you have Yui at 22 and Daniel, you have Yukino at 20.
Yeah, Yukino, you see like all
Yeah.
those up arrows right there. She just took a bit of a tumble
Yeah.
recently, but
did
she's
she
still
do
there.
anything or like?
I think it's a matter of she hasn't done anything and she can't do anything. So it's just like this is like an overtime degradation of her ranking.
Yes, though I am glad you noticed that Daniel and I tend to be on the opposite sides of
I
most
see.
of these love triangle or like harem type series. It's very rare that we have the same ones.
I was about to say you guys are on it's literally the opposite side of the war. Must be tough. Must be really tough.
It
I
makes
can't
things
think of that
interesting
many that like
sometimes.
we even.
I think Yui and Yukino is our most like divisive one in terms of being direct opposites. Because I think of like other series we have liked, we don't tend to like the same girls, but it's not like a versus, right?
Yeah.
Like Oshinoko, your favorite's Kana, my favorite's Ruby. That's not like a competition per se.
Well, to some people it is.
Yeah.
We don't talk
Yeah,
about
Well,
you could argue.
I don't need to make comments on this, but Ruby deserves happiness.
Mm,
That's
mm.
all I'll
Yes,
say.
that and that
And
happiness has
if
nothing
I
to
need
do with her
to
brother.
if I need to join the dark side
You
for
don't need
Ruby's
to.
happiness,
That's not how. That is like a fall into her mental illness.
that's valid, and I would agree.
I
But the
like
memes
both.
are great.
PK, I noticed you have Yuffie and Honest on.
I do have
here.
Yuffie and Honest on here. I am
I
a
love the
huge
Magi
Magi
Revo.
Revo fan.
Yeah, I
Yuffie was
love
also
that.
um so I watched like the first couple episodes and was just like, I need to read this. Read through
Mhm.
the first volume pretty quickly, and what is it was kind of one of those things where it's like I liked them and then read the light novel. It was just like I love both of these characters for very different reasons.
Mm.
Which was kind of interesting because they both are on here, but they're kind of opposites in a way, which is like part of the chemistry in the series too, is that
Yeah.
they're similar-ish, but not really. But yes,
Mm.
Magi Revo was actually in the last episode we talked about. No, it wasn't the last episode. It was the other one. We did our anime awards, and might have been my anime of the year. That's all I'll say.
Okay. All right. I'm mad at it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I definitely did. Um, I don't think it gets enough love, especially for it being like an actual it being an actual like
An
Yuri instead of like
actual
Yuri
Yuri,
bait.
yeah.
um,
Yeah, I talked about that in
and
my
yeah,
my top
yeah.
15 video.
I was about to say. I think I think Daniel talked about that. And it's because I remember I was like I watched a video recently where someone was like it's actually Yuri and thank God it is. And I was like I think that actually was Daniel. Oh yeah, I that's why I kind of really enjoyed about it that it wasn't really Yuri bait. And on top of that, I like it's an isekai, but it's not an isekai. Like it has no
Yeah,
Yeah.
need to be an isekai. Like they mention it like once or twice, and you're just like, this could have just been a fantasy. Like really didn't need to be an isekai. But
I guess it kind of
They
like
basically
figures into her inventions or whatever, but it's not that important regardless.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she flies on a broom or whatever the fuck. Like, right? Wait, no, okay, no. I was about to say she has like an engine on hers, but I was thinking of Elena where someone like actually straps like a fucking engine to their fucking broom.
Mm,
Uh, I think I might be crazy. I'm pretty sure. At least it was designed like that kind of. But I think some of her designs figure with her past life. But yeah, otherwise it really doesn't need to be an isekai. Um, it's kind of like Weakest Tamer this season, where it's kind of like the same boat, where like the isekai isn't even like, yeah, like there's no technical reason for it to be there, other than like a few moments.
yeah.
I'm looking at our rankings again, Daniel. We do have a few like same series. on here. So like Maple Sally, Mai Tomoe, Coco, and um.
I don't think you have
Oh wait,
Homegirl
do
on
I
there
have?
anymore.
I don't have. You're right. She's off now. I was looking at it and I was like, is she still there? No, she's off now.
Yeah, she couldn't be your favorite
Sad.
because you haven't finished the series.
Well, I have been farther than most of our friend group.
Are you though? If I were
I
to
only
look
have
at
Bloom left.
yeah, but how many people? Hold on.
We have
Like,
Bochi
I think
Nujika
Lugia
too.
finished.
Lugia probably finished, but that's not a fair comparison.
Yeah. I'll look up where is the order. Have you seen Is the Order a Rabbit, RJ?
If not, no.
The namesake for our podcast name,
Yes.
but it's just some like cute moe girls run a cafe type of show. It's just good
What's it called
vibes.
again?
Is the
Is the
Order a
Order a
Rabbit?
Rabbit?
See, Gochuucast wa Usagi desu ka? Yeah, there you go. There's the Japanese name in case you have to look it up that way.
Yeah.
I mean, just link it in the.
Yeah, it's better. Sometimes I use a Japanese name to look up stuff, so I don't know.
Oh, no, I never even heard of this one.
Well, now you have. Welcome to
There
Peak.
you go.
Add it to the list. Add it
Welcome
to the
to
list.
Peak. Our friend group has, I feel like, for us, expanded a lot of the stuff that some of us watch because we have a pretty diverse friend group with stuff. So like, you
Mhm.
mentioned like Magi Revo being not as well known, but like in our friend group, we have a couple people who really like good Yuri series, and so
Mm.
to us, that kind of just gets exposed early, and then we're like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll give it a few episodes, and then when it's peak, everyone jumps on.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Um, my friend group mostly we're very into like slice of life and romance. It's kind of like we kind of all like the big slice of life romance and stuff. We like Insomniac After School. Skip and
I
Loafer
agree.
was one that I enjoyed. No one else enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it for my friend group.
I think
Um,
our friend group like all stand Skip and Loafer. I didn't end
I
up
haven't
watching
watched
it.
it yet, but I might at some point.
but yeah,
Like a couple
that's kind
reading.
of where I dabble in the slice of life and romance. Tend to be some of my favorite series of ever.
Do
Have
you
you
have a
been
favorite, like,
watching?
overall? Like, slice of life?
It's my favorite genre. It tends to be a
Sure.
lot of shows that I really like. My favorite series overall is nowhere near being the slice of life.
What is it?
It's pretty basic. It's Dragon Ball.
Okay.
That's
That's
valid though.
Daniel's favorite, bro.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
Okay, not
I
really.
He's lying.
Yeah,
He's
okay, yeah,
lying to
it
you.
is. It is not. It is not. It is not.
It was my first, but
Like
it's not
I
my
It's
favorite.
his first.
yeah.
like for as much anime as I watch, like a lot of people is like, oh, and his favorite series must be something obscure or something we never heard of. I was like, no,
No,
it's
of
Dragon
course,
Ball.
yeah.
It's Dragon Ball. Is it the best written anime of all time? No, I'm never gonna be in a debate and be like best written anime of all time. Here, guys, what about Dragon Ball? No, I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's the
me
same as my
personally, I
favorite
absolutely enjoy it.
manga. Yeah, it's the same as my favorite manga being One Piece. Like,
Mhm.
it's not a complicated pick. It's just that's the thing that I have consistently over the years, every week, been like, oh, let's check out the new chapter, and
Yeah,
always felt like satisfied. Sans a few moments, but everything has everything
yeah,
has missed
yeah.
chapters, right?
hmm Yeah, I mean, the recent One Piece arc is pretty good. Um, I'm also caught up on One
I
Piece as well.
love, yeah, I love the recent One Piece arc. I'm
Yeah.
interested how it'll end. However, these two goobers have not done any One Piece
Dude, I tried
at
the
all.
live
You're not
action
able
or
to call
whatever
us
the
goobers
Netflix. I
over One
tried,
Piece.
bro, but I don't know. It's just a little too goofy for me. That's just my personal like. That's it's just a personal taste thing. It's not nothing against the
Yeah,
series.
I think that's
on
what's fun about it sometimes too.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I agree. That has a lot of appeal. It's just like for me personally, it's just not that. Yeah,
contrary to the
that's
One
all.
Piece fandom, it's not for everyone. It's not. Like
Yeah,
it,
it
you
is
know.
definitely not for everyone.
I mean, I'll get into it eventually. It's just right now, it's kind of long. I'm definitely not watching the anime. I'd rather die, but I'll read it at some point.
Yeah, that's
I would
faster.
rather you read it anyway. The anime is
Yeah, read the
good.
manga.
What I want you to do, Daniel, is when the Wit Studio One Piece stuff comes out, I want you to watch that
I don't
because
think I will.
I have
Mm,
high hopes.
I don't think I will,
mm.
because then I'm automatically
What's
attached
that?
to One Piece.
Oh my goach.
But
Whenever you say
you're
I'm
no, I don't think I
already
will. It's just stupid
I am
shit.
very
you're
curious
already.
what they're doing with that. I'm very
I am
curious what
really
they're.
curious too because it's like if it's just a straight reboot, I want them to like commit to some of the arcs that I actually think need it, right? Because the
Yeah,
first section of One Piece, in my opinion, is fine. I don't think it
it's fine.
needs
Yeah.
that much. But if you look into like the Alabastas, the Skypiea, some of those like couple arcs later, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to do some cool stuff with that.
Be honest, I think personally, kind of the first saga of One Piece, you should probably just leave untouched. Maybe like when you get to like Impel Down, that's kind of where like Toei really kind of starts slowing down the pacing.
That is
Uh,
true.
like dramatically. Like Marineford was good, but watching it in the anime was just like, oh my god, can something happen?
Mhm.
But they slow down the pacing in that because I guess that's when they were really catching up to the manga. So maybe
Yep.
that I can give a leeway. But I think what it's like horrendous when you get to the time skip, like Fishman Island
Oh
and
yeah.
onward, is like what are like you guys are really just like dragging
I
it out
think
as much as you can.
Dressrosa is unwatchable,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Dressrosa
I will
being the
stay
worst
behind
example.
that. But
Yeah,
that's why I
Dressrosa.
bring up like stuff like Alabasta Skype is not bad, but then I'm like I could understand being like let's get like some cool new animation in this and kind of breathe some life into these arcs that people don't talk about as much nowadays. That also, in my opinion, are really good arcs. Like Skypiea to me is one of those arcs that people kind of talk about as like, oh, you can just skip it, and that's just not a good opinion.
Yeah, no, no, no. If you ask me, Skypiea is Oda
It's
at his
one of the
not at his
most
best, but it's one of his best ones.
it's one of the
It's
most important arcs, as
yeah.
we've all seen over the last couple years, especially.
Mhm. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. These two don't know.
I don't know. I have no context.
Yeah, get back to me in like 10 years when One Piece finishes.
10 years is crazy. That's funny.
I can't say 5 because that's not true. He's gonna say 5
5
Okay.
is
and
what
then
he
it'll be
always
another
says.
5.
Tend to be safe. Tend to be safe. I got you.
I cannot fathom 5 years, and at the same time, he just keeps saying it. And one day it's going to be true.
Not true. It's I mean one day One Piece is just gonna end and he's like, yeah guys, there's like 10 chapters left. We're gonna be like, what? I don't know.
Like, there's just no way.
But
I have a few questions, I guess, since I've been looking at your not like questions like an interview or anything like that, ridiculous like that, but
No, no,
I've
no. It's
I've
an
been
you're
watching
interview.
YouTube and
interrogating
stuff. Yeah.
interrogating me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So the one
Yep.
the one one video I saw that I did not get a chance to watch was the one about Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm the only Yu-Gi-Oh player on the podcast, but I've been
Mm.
playing Yu-Gi-Oh like actually. Do you still play like since you made that video? I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago.
So no, I don't.
Hmm.
But
Congratulations.
I made that video
Hey,
because
Congratulations.
congratulations. No. I
congratulations!
made
It's
that
crazy.
video because the author of Yu-Gi-Oh passed away and I
Right?
was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's my childhood." So it really got me searching like Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I was like, "Oh, so what's going on in the Yu-Gi-Oh community?" I was curious. And I
Mhm.
found a whole bunch of stuff, the different rules between the real life game and the
Yeah.
anime and all that stuff, like different versions of how to play, professional Yu-Gi-Oh players. Like, and I was like, "Oh my God,
Mhm.
this is just a rabbit hole of information that I rarely see anyone talk about." So I made a video
Yeah.
Hmm.
uh, about all that, kind of in honor of his memory of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
passing.
I gotta imagine that's
But
kind of a fun way to go about it too. Is just you discover this treasure trove of stuff that
yeah,
you
and
just never heard about, and you're like, I just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a sense, that's what the video is. I'm just like, guys, like Yu-Gi-Oh is not just this anime card game. It's like a whole community. It's like a whole sub anime community out there. I was like, there's so much stuff to these Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, there's professional Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments held each year. Like, I was like, what is going on? I wanted to talk about it. Still have my Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Like, I still have all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, I'm looking
Mhm.
at them right now. So
I
I
probably
don't
have
really
mine
play.
if I really got into storage,
Yeah.
but I haven't played since before Synchro
Oh yeah,
existed.
that is
Just to date, yeah, to date when I played Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I just been playing it since COVID started. You know, everybody had their own like it was that and anime that I kind of got into since
Mhm.
then. So I was curious since I saw it. I didn't get a chance to watch the video, but yeah, it's cool. So um, there's another video that I watched about and not the contents of the video, whatever, but it was really funny because it was the video about hentai. It's funny because you start off the video with something like, "I'm making this video to piss off anime fans" or something like that, and I was just like, it's just really funny because we have like discussions about like shonen and shonen fans and like
Mhm.
fans of different genres and different anime, and it's just funny that that was like the first thing you said. I love that. That was like really funny. So that was the one thing that stuck out to me. But um, yeah, that that is a very interesting topic for sure. So
Ye
cool.
yeah, it's the 'cause I'm terrible at accent. I'm feel so bad accent this, but which hentai video are you talking
We had an episode. We had like an episode 69 special thing with that. That was.
I think he
I don't know
means
if I want to
his.
go into
He
it right
means
now,
his.
but
No,
He
He,
means
yeah,
mine.
yeah. Which of his?
Which hentai video of mine are you talking about?
it's the one. Let me see if I can find it. It's in my history here. The problem with hentai fans. That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like all
Alright.
the different genres and stuff like that. So.
I'm still waiting for Daniel to make his hentai video.
I'm
Oh
not.
my
What do you mean
gosh.
by? What do you mean? It's not
That's
happening.
it's a requirement.
It's not a
It's a rite of
requirement.
passage. It is.
It is a
It
rite of
is.
passage.
You have to talk
You
about it
have to
eventually.
make at least one hentai video before you've really made it.
No, I don't think I do.
No,
I.
that's kind of part of the job requirements.
Yeah, I didn't see that
Yeah.
in my YouTube partnership contract, but
Don't
It's
worry,
in the
I
fine
read the
print.
fine print.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
yeah. I
But
already. Well,
yeah, with
technically, I
that
already made one on this channel. It transfers over.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Does it
oh,
transfer
yeah,
over?
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
we had
yeah,
episode 69.
it was fun. I think that series of videos I was looking at the kind of the demographics and genres of different anime, and I was like, I kind of want to piss them all off and talk about the
It's
problems with
just
each community. And hentai fans, I was just like, you just look at a hentai tag and you're like, what is wrong with all of you? Like,
Yeah.
It's a whole different world out there.
it is.
Yeah.
It's. Oh.
There's another one that I saw that we have like discussions about this like feels like it comes up every few episodes, but it's like the demographics versus genres one where it's like
Mm,
I feel like the genre of like a show it always has that like the tags depending on the website use like my anime list versus you
mm,
know analyst and all the different genres and tags. It's like you look up at a genre and you'll see like 50 different shows that you didn't think were like involved or like didn't involve that genre. So I didn't get a chance to watch the video, but I'm curious like in general what your like uh takes are on like how shows are categorized nowadays like on these websites and like what you know
mm.
yeah, I'm just curious about like what your thoughts about that are in general.
So yeah, the short version of the video is basically that I kind of break down that people don't really understand what they kind of it's basically they use demographic terminology
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
genres
As the
basically
descriptor. Yeah.
is kind of what they go for, and it's just like, well, it's breaking down that demographics are not genres, and that just because a show is a certain genre doesn't mean it falls into the demographic. Like I guess the main one I would use is like Attack on Titan. You tell people, "Oh, Attack on Titan's a shonen," everyone's like, "No, it's a seinen," because it's Attack on Titan. They think, "Oh, it's gory, it's
Think
mature, it
blood,
must be a
gore.
seinen."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, it's actually a shonen because it was published in a monthly shonen magazine. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? And then you go on, and then you explain the definition of what shonen actually means. And it's like, it's basically how the community has been using these terms wrong, because Western weebs using Japanese terminology wrong. No, that can't be the case. That's like that. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Wait till they
That's never
figure out
happened before.
Do
is
we
the Order of
still?
Rabbits a seinen?
Yeah. Do we still have
Yeah, and
that the picture that had like the entire shoujo row wrong? Do you remember which picture I'm talking about? We talked about this on a
There was a
previous.
tweet, but I don't know if we have it anywhere.
yeah, and it's like that video is. I make a joke saying that video is damn near timeless because every time I scroll down and I see someone getting it wrong, I'm like, tag the video, just tag the video,
Yep.
because it's like yeah, shoujo is a main one that a lot of people get wrong, right? They think a romance shoujo, it must be shoujo, and it's like
I
it's
love people calling Rent a Girlfriend shoujo. That's
yeah.
peak right there.
Or Bochi the Rock is a main one, right?
Yeah.
Seinen was supposed to be this gritty, mature thing, and Bochi's a seinen. It's like, yeah, sure, seinen's so gritty and mature, like and
Yeah.
you see Bochi just goofing around. So that's kind of what the topic of the video is basically about, kind of debunking all those terms of what the community thinks those terms mean.
Yeah, and we've actually talked, like Spat said, we've talked about that a lot on here.
Yeah.
Because I think we had one episode that just kind of turned into like an hour conversation that was sparked by
Mhm.
like Jose's, if I remember right. And we were just like looking at tags and like kind of delving into that just for fun. But it really is
Yeah,
one of those things that's has this huge disconnect because of the fact that most of those terms are kind of just applied by like the publishers, right?
yeah,
Publishers and marketing are what determine that, and not necessarily content. There is
hmm
some content intersection, just because naturally, if you're targeting your stuff at teenage boys, you're gonna make something that you know should appeal to teenage boys.
exactly, yeah.
But for the most
I
part, it really has little to do with the content
Yeah, and
in
that's
terms of.
kind of the main like focus of the video is like, yeah, it's
Mhm.
you guys are trying to correlate this with content. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with content. I know like a big one was when Skip and Loafer came out, and everyone was like, it's a seinen. And it was like, yeah, it's published in the same magazine as Vinland Saga. Like
Yep.
they come out at the same time. It's like it's a seinen, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something people will never understand. That's like going to be a perpetual like
This is an age-old thing.
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That's why
It,
having a
it's
video that you can just tag every time is genius. It just keeps coming back.
it is a timeless thing. I've had plenty of people send me like, oh, tagged your video. I got in this argument about demographics and tagged your video. I was like, that's what it's there for.
That's the purpose.
Perfect.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of every time there's like enough of something, I guess it kind of turns into its own like sub genre in a sense. Like isekai is a writing tool or whatever plot device, but now it's a
Mhm.
or not a demographic, it's a genre
Now
at
it's a
this point.
genre.
Yeah.
It's a genre at this point, yeah. I would say, and because I always get asked like, what if those are the demographics, what are the genres? And I was like, well, isekai, mecha, romance, action, maho shoujo. These are genres, and they can fall to any demographic, but at the same time, like they're genres, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think?
it is funny, like seinen is technically like the demographic is like an older audience, but you see shit like Is the Order of Rabbit, and it's like, I guess comfort shows are just much more valued over yonder in Japan, I guess, because like you would never in your fucking life like put this on like a marketing team's desk and be like, yeah, we're targeting this towards older men.
We're targeting young adults with
yeah, it's just
freaking-
cute,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just cute anime girls. It's like
Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
No,
if
but
you like
like,
put it on like an
I
American
Yeah.
marketing
actually
desk, they'd be like, so this is for children, right?
yeah. I get it though, in the sense that like the life of an adult, both male and female, this applies to some yoseis I've seen too, is like very stressful, right? So sometimes you want that like more mature theme, but it is valid also to be like, hey, we're targeting this towards like stressed office workers. Let's just give them the most like cinnamon roll relaxing shit ever.
Yeah, let them watch girls make coffee. That'll do it.
What's the saying? It's like when you're young, you want to be old, and there's like a
And
saying,
when
but
you're
it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I
can't.
know
There's
what
an
you're talking about. I don't remember the wording,
yeah,
but yeah,
but it's
it's
like
basically
little kids like these like I say in general, but like shows with like fighting and like powerful stuff. Well, not that adults don't, but you know what I mean. It's like marketed towards might be
Yeah.
marketed more towards kids, whereas like adults, they might like more youthful things, right? So, um, yeah, it is interesting that like a show like that, it just would not. It is a difference of culture, I guess. Yeah, it's like
It
people
is.
in the
Yeah, I was
West
gonna say,
just like would not come up like that. So yeah.
I think it is a very much difference in culture because a lot of people who do know the actual terminology still argue that certain shows should belong in certain
should be
demographics. Like,
different. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I know you guys seen the Twitter threads of I think one of the most not recent. It was about a couple months ago. This dude made a whole argument how Bleach should be a seinen.
Yep.
Um, it was like, but it's not, and it was like, but it should be, and it was like, okay. I think that's the cultural differences of what we would consider to be marketed towards certain demographics of people, right? We would consider, right, every romance to be marketed towards, females, and it's just like, well, no, guys can like romance too. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a cultural difference, really, that kind of pushes agenda of what these words mean, or what
Right.
people think these words mean.
Bleach is a sign in his interest. So I'm currently reading Bleach. Me and
Hmm.
one of my best friends decided to start reading Bleach for
Hmm.
2024. And so I'm a good like 300ish chapters in. Um I feel like it is the in I mean this in a nice way, right? But it is like the exact same to me as like every other shonen I've read, in the sense
Hmm.
that I don't get the vibe that it's like more serious or dark or anything like that than other shonen. The only difference I would say so far that I get is there is a lot of blood in like, not gore necessarily, but like it does feel slightly more like graphic. But I don't
Yeah,
think that in itself is enough for me to be like, oh yeah, it should be a seinen. Because I
yeah.
still feel like the core like driving elements of it feel like the same driving elements of, your Dragon Balls, your Naruto's, your One Pieces, all of that.
And yeah, I agree because I feel like for most part people tend to downplay, and I maybe it's because of Western censorship. I don't know, but that people tend to downplay how mature shonen, especially
Hmm.
like the popular battle shonen, can actually get. Like if you like, I mean, we were talking about earlier. Like if you read Zatch Bell, you're like, oh my god, this was written for kids, and it's like the amount of blood in Zatch Bell is like
Yep.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
There's cannibalism in One Piece. The first episodes of Dragon Ball is Goku getting impaled by Piccolo. But it's like rereading Naruto, at least it's just like the amount of actual
Naruto gets
gore.
into it also.
It really does. Like
The
it's
first
not.
like little section of Naruto is like, haha, funny kid playing pranks on the village, and then suddenly it's like deadly, like people are dying or potentially going to die situation, right?
Yeah, it's like these are not like not as they're more mature than people give them credit for. So that's why I kind of don't agree. Like you said, I don't agree with the argument. Like Bleach doesn't do anything the other ones don't do. I mean, a big one right now is like the anime censorship for My Hero, right? People
Yep.
compare the manga panels and the anime all the time. Just like it's not as gory as the manga, right? And that's a current running battle shonen in Weekly Shonen Jump of all places. It's like they're a lot more mature than people give them credit for. I would say
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, I think it was probably a lot of like I don't know if it was 4 Kids or whoever censorship, but I remember
Yeah.
watching a lot of those shows, as a
Hmm.
kid, and it's just I
Yeah.
assume a lot of it was just censored. Um,
Sanji's Lollipop. Let's go.
wait, what's that? Is that like a
So the 4 Kids censorship. So there's a
for One
character in
Piece? Yeah.
One Piece called Sanji,
Yep.
named Sanji, and he is a smoker. And in the
Oh,
4Kids
okay.
version,
Sure.
they gave him a lollipop instead of a cigarette.
Okay, that was
And there's like a few
that's
moments
pretty good, actually.
that it just like doesn't make any sense that he would have a lollipop. But
Yeah.
that's
God, I'm
just
trying
like
to remember. I feel like there were situations like that with other shows I've seen where like the censorship just made it like not make sense. I guess
Yeah.
like the obvious one is like the jelly donuts in Pokemon, but that's not like censorship. That's like a
Yeah, it's
mistranslation or whatever you want to call it.
localization or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like there. I feel like there's been some like cases of like censorship where it's like they just change something and it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, some or
Um,
whatever, but like the one I think too most of the time is in Dragon Ball Bridge they have a joke where they have Roshi there and he's like, "Oh, I've got beer," and then they change it and like now it's orange juice, and they changed again. Now it's apple juice. Like there are all these different like censorships of
I just
Roshi
remembered.
drinking beer. It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
not.
mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just remembered one where it was in Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the characters, his dad like drank beer, but they couldn't have beer. He was like he drank beer and he was like the whole theme was like he would get drunk and they changed it to hot sauce. So like it just looks so ridiculous. Like this guy's drinking hot sauce and like his personality is changing. Like it makes no sense, right? That was like the first thing I thought of, where it's like they had to change something to like remove alcohol, but like the whole point was like the alcohol actually has an effect on the person, right? Like hot sauce. I don't know. I don't know anyone
Yeah.
who gets crazy for hot sauce, but you know, that's
My
just me.
favorite one is in One Piece, where the 4Kids One Piece, where it's like I think it's episode 3 or something. They change like one of the characters has like is held to gunpoint, and they
Mhm.
change the gun to
Oh,
like this
you're right. Yep.
megaphone,
Oh
and
my,
the
what?
the threat is I'm gonna blow this megaphone in his ears, and it's like how threatening, like it's
I know
ridiculous.
the exact scene you're talking about too,
Yeah,
and that's hilarious.
they
Yeah, they're
changed the
like
gun to
ban Pokemon episodes with that stuff, like Team Rocket fucking pointing guns at people and stuff like that. I mean, it's definitely.
Mhm.
I mean, I get why they don't want it, but at the same time, it's still
Or
goofy.
yeah. Wait, is this the? I'm posting it right now. Is this what you guys are talking about? Is this one? Is this
That
not?
Yeah,
that's gotta be it.
yeah,
That looks so
Yeah.
dumb.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's that's a fun one.
I
It-
don't know what
Since
don't know what they were going for with this, but yeah,
this is interesting.
it's
since
that's
since
it.
we're talking about shonen and you said Dragon Ball is your favorite series, how do you feel about Daima, the
Um,
new Dragon Ball project? I
so
mean, there's nothing to really know at this point. It's just kind of a
mhm.
fun thing to talk about.
I'm a little bit excited for it. I have not high hopes, but I'm not. It's not down in the dirt where I'm just like, oh my god, they didn't give us more chapters of Super because I like Dragon Ball best when Dragon Ball is kind of in Toriyama's hands because I feel like I mean he
Okay.
wrote it, so Toriyama understands Dragon Ball the best. I wasn't really that big of a fan of the Super series in general because it really just felt like a disconnect from everything. In my opinion, it felt like it's like a better version of GT, but GT was already on the floor, so it's like
Yeah.
so I'm kind of excited, especially because he's fully writing this one. So it's like Toriyama's back in the helm of another Dragon Ball anime and doing what he does best. And yeah, I'm a little bit excited for it. I feel like the people that are not that much excited for it kind of maybe did not watch the original Dragon Ball. There's a good chunk
Yeah.
of the Dragon Ball community that did not watch the OG Dragon Ball. They started with Z and went from there. Which I get because Z is more action based than the original Dragon Ball is more comedy based. But I'm excited to go back and kind of explore it, to see what it has to offer. Really,
It's
Yeah,
interesting. I never realized that he wasn't involved. Well, he's probably involved in Super, but I didn't realize that he wasn't writing it.
he's like partially involved in Super, I think.
yeah, he was like, yeah, he was partially writing it, so he was like giving them the plot points of what
Yeah.
of what he wanted to happen, but like they were filling in the gaps. That's why Jiren didn't really have a Jiren's backstory was like glossed over or something like that. They kept going back and forth between the times and the Goku Black arc. It was like this is why it kind of was a mess. But I with this one, he's actually like sitting down and writing it like he did with the
Actually,
movies.
yeah.
So and the movies I enjoyed, right? I enjoyed the Broly movie. I enjoyed Battle of Gods, Resurrection of F. But the superhero movie, I enjoyed that. But yeah, so I feel like it's kind of him coming back and being like, oh, what if I did GT, right? What
Yeah.
would it look like? So I'm kind of curious about it.
Because I
It
think that
could
was
be,
kind of I think it
yeah.
was kind of like the initial reaction I saw from a lot of people was like, oh, they are giving us GT2, basically, right?
Mhm. Yeah. I because everyone's asking for the manga arcs, right? The Moro or
Hmm.
Granola arc, and I wasn't a big fan of those. Like they're okay, but like I said before, I don't really think like peak Dragon Ball is when Toriyama has hand on Dragon Ball. And although Toyotaro's doing an okay job, he's trying his best. He's not bad, but it's like it's not Dragon Ball to me. It's like if someone else wrote Dragon Ball because someone else is writing
Yeah.
Dragon Ball. So I'm just like it's not it's kind of how I feel about like Boruto with Naruto. I
Yep.
don't watch Boruto. I'm not interested in watching Boruto. My journey ended at the last chapter of Naruto. That's it. I came. I saw what I wanted to do. I read Kishimoto's story. I have no intention of continuing it. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm a sucker for the content of the story being in the original creator's hands because I feel like they
Hmm.
understand it best.
So I've had actually some interesting conversations about Boruto with people, um, because I don't actively read Boruto, but I kind of pay attention and keep up some with it, and it's
Mhm.
Boruto, in my opinion, is actually pretty good. But
Okay.
I think it's kind of harmed by being connected to Naruto. The, which like is a double-edged sword too, right? Because it being
Yeah.
connected to Naruto is what got a lot of people reading it. And if it wasn't, if it was like a similar story but just with its new characters, it might have just not even been able to make it past like the magazine acts, right? But I
Yeah.
feel like especially with a lot of the two Vortex stuff, um I guess the second Boruto series is how you call it. It's like the post time skip stuff,
Hmm.
which I think, if I remember right, Kishimoto actually is writing this stuff. But it just feels to me so drastically different from everything
Yeah.
that Naruto was. And
Yeah.
so to me, it's like one of those things where I think it is really good, but also I don't feel that connection to Naruto when even with
Yeah.
like some of the same characters being in the verse, right? I just kind of
Mhm.
feel like, I would almost be more into this if it was just its own separate series.
Yeah, I feel it too. And it's not. This is. I would say I have to say this is a me personal thing. I'm not really trying to speak to the quality of any given series where it's when it's picked up by another author. It's just a
Hmm.
me personal thing. That connection kind of goes away because it's just like it just feels so different. And I've read some of Boruto. I was like, oh, it's not bad, but it doesn't have my heart in a sense for me to continue it. And plus, there's so much other anime out there for me to watch.
Yeah,
So yeah, it just is what it is.
yeah, but I get that because I feel like even with Kishimoto doing Boruto now, the direction of the series was kind of like steered in a specific direction by a different writer, right? So
Mm.
even then, it's almost as if it's like Kishimoto writing a different story now rather than like the continuation.
Yeah, it's like watching the newest Star Wars trilogy, and you can tell that each movie is done by a different dude, and it's like this doesn't feel connected at all.
Yep,
Like you can have a favorite of the three, but it's just like wow, for like you guys tried to connect it, but it just really doesn't feel like it was connected at all.
I've never watched Star
Yeah.
Wars, but I've heard this a lot. That
I've
the
never watched Star
new
Wars either. It's just
I've heard
people
that
are like,
the new trilogy is kind of similar to how I'm talking about Boruto.
Yeah,
It's solid on its own, but it doesn't quite feel like it has that same connection.
yeah, yeah. I can't recommend Star Wars in good faith, to be honest. For those
That's
who've never
valid.
seen it, I don't think you would understand the hype. To be honest, I didn't understand the hype when I first watched it. I was like, I just okay. It was okay to me. I was forced to watch it kind of because I went to film school, so I was
Yep.
forced to watch it. And they were like, "You gotta watch Star Wars," and I was like, "Okay, let's watch the original trilogy." And I did, and I was like, "Yeah, you guys are right. This was probably cool in the
I
70s. This
I
was
also
probably
went
really
to
cool."
film school,
I
and
was about to
I
say,
Uh-huh.
it's like,
dodged Star Wars in film school,
You
but
dodged like,
there
lucky, lucky.
there was a lot of stuff in film school that was kind of that type of thing, right?
Yeah,
uh they'll be like, "Oh, you have to watch this. It's a classic." And I'm like, "That's valid, but like we got like dozens of classics that y'all want me to watch too, right?"
yeah.
And some of those are higher priority than others. But Star Wars was one of those ones I never had to watch it for a class or anything because I did mostly production classes, and at the school I
Mhm.
had went to, you could kind of like bridge off after a little bit, so you had a couple theory classes, but for the most part it was kind of one of those things where it was you could focus on theory or you could focus on production for the majority of your classes.
Yeah, yeah. But I do have a question for all of you.
let's go.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just go down the road here. I want to know what you guys' favorite animes are, like of all time.
86.
Like you know mine, right?
Frick.
Or maybe
Eight
top three, right? Because you can't
here.
choose one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
I'll give you my top 5.
Go for it.
86, Fate
Maybe
Zero,
7.
Mhm.
Anohana, Babylonia,
80s.
Fate Grand Order Babylonia,
Okay.
and Majirobo. That's my my current top 5. Also in contention, but I have not looked into them, is I recently watched Madoka. And I don't
I did
know
too.
yet if I would be willing to put Madoka in this top 5. I'm kind of letting it sit for a bit, and then once I feel like that recency bias is gone, I'm gonna reevaluate and decide if Madoka should be 5. But currently, it's those 5. 2 Fate series, Sumi, Babylonia was phenomenal,
What was the
and
other one? You said Babylonian. What else?
there's Fate Zero.
80. Okay. Okay.
Fate Zero was for the longest time my favorite anime until 86 came out and absolutely just like captured my heart.
Mm. Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. I have yet to see Madoka. I've yet to see it.
Yeah, I just saw it
It's
recently. It's cool for sure.
it's fun. I would go in with as little knowledge and expectations as you can because I think it is one of those things that is an experience. And that's all I really want to say because I don't want to give you too much to go off of.
Okay.
You already spoiled it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
I might finish my video on it maybe this month, maybe next. I don't know. Depends.
Maybe.
Oh, when I watch Madoka, I'm definitely doing a video on um thoughts of the entire thing. Really.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
very
You'll
like it's a I don't know if
it's a
deep is the right
content.
word, but it's like
it's
It's
a
a
thinker.
content gold mine.
complex. Yeah.
It is we talked earlier about requirements. Madoka video also in the fine print.
Yeah.
You just make it. Okay, fair enough.
uh,
I guess I'll go.
go for it.
I'll just give you top 3. So,
Okay.
I guess number 1 would be Steins Gate. I don't know. I've seen that show like 4 times. Like
Hmm.
once in sub, thrice in dub or something like that. I don't know. It's
Thrice.
I'm not a dub guy, but I like that dub for whatever reason. But yeah, I just love like the story, the characters, everything about that show. It's very like every episode, and that's like a kind of theme about the shows that I like. It's like every episode has like leaves you wanting to watch the next one. You know what I mean? I don't know if it necessarily has to be a cliffhanger, but like some kind of loose end of like a plot at the end of the episode that makes you, yeah, I guess it's a cliffhanger basically. Um, and then second would probably be Code Geass. I'm not a huge mecha guy or anything, but the story is very interesting. Um,
Hmm.
and then third, I'm cheating. I saw this like last year, but it's called Link Click. It's a Chinese
Oh,
show.
yes,
He's
Yeah,
still
have you
cheating.
seen it?
yes, yeah. I seen it. I
Wait,
love Link
oh
Click.
yes, okay. Daniel and Pete haven't seen it. Yeah, I love that show. Yeah, it's kind of like with the theme I mentioned with like Steins Gate, where it's like the
cliffhanger every
yeah, there's always
episode. Yeah,
something. There's always something in the next episode that you're like kind of looking to get like answered. That's
yeah.
what I really like about it. So, um, yeah, that and then yeah, those are my top three. So I really liked Link Click. I haven't seen any other Chinese anime Donghua, but it's it's cool. It's cool for sure.
Link
So
Click is
that's my
definitely a
answer.
really good. Yeah, Link Click is really it's really good, especially after season 2.
Yeah,
Last
season two. I was scared it might fall off, and I mean, I might not like it, but I think yeah, it just does such a good job of continuing what happened in season one. A very, very compelling story. So I like that.
All right.
yeah.
I'll cheat a little bit. I'll give you my Mount Rushmore of fiction instead of just my top anime.
Go for it.
So my favorite
Let's do it.
anime to kick it off is World End, not the Harem. I'll link it. The title's long as shit. I just say World End, but um, despite having a long as shit title, I still love it, and it's really good. House is my favorite character in fiction. My top anime girl, I guess. In Kotli. And then
Right.
my favorite manga for the next head of Mount Rushmore has recently become Medalist. It was Oshinoko, but Medalist, I started rereading it again. It's so fucking good. I love it so much. Which makes me even more dreadful for the anime because it got Studio Engi, which is death. But there's first for everything, and that means Engi can make their first good anime. My favorite light novel slash series in general is ReZero.
Okay.
Anime's still good too, but I think
Yeah.
the light novel just captures more of what I like about it because there's just such a vast amount of detail within the text. And it's also much further ahead, so I have more content to enjoy. And then I wanted to, so I guess there's four heads to Rushmore. I'll just say visual novel, but it is one of my, I would say it's my number 2 favorite anime is Clan Ed, after story specifically, but the entire thing is still great. So
I
yeah.
like the idea of the Mount Rushmore. This is the first time you've introduced this to
The
us,
four genre
Yeah.
and
or the four
I
forms of media.
I kind of like that. I rock with it.
Yeah, the problem being, I only say Clan Ed is visual novel to like just get it in there. Um, I played a little. I played the visual novel a little bit. I haven't completed it though.
Okay, we're I'm getting some visual novels localized to Switch this year, so I'll be able to get some content. Fate fans eating.
Yeah. I was gonna say Fate fans because they just announced that they're bringing
They announced
Day
Day
Night.
Night, and then Tsukihime was announced
Yeah.
previously too. I was actually I was at the AX Type Moon panel when they announced Tsukihime, and so that was pretty fun.
Hey, I was at AX. I did not go to the Type Moon panel. I missed it.
Daniel and I both were at AX with some mutual friends, probably like 20 of us. Stupid group. Stupid big group, but
Mhm.
it was fun. I don't know if I would go again because I live on the East Coast, but
Yeah.
I think that same group is kind of planning to just like go to a couple different things every so often, maybe like once a year. So like this
Mhm.
next year, we're talking about going to Matsuri in Houston.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
I'm not part of that.
But
I don't know when the fuck I'm gonna go to another
We
Yeah,
convention.
Daniel went to AX and was like, "That was fun. I might never do this again, or I might. We'll see."
It's I mean, it's a financial commitment for one, which isn't like I have enough to where I'm like more than comfortable to like do things, indulge myself, but it's also it's a fucking commitment. Like I hate
yeah.
flying. It was my first time ever flying. And it's not like the worst thing ever, but it's not a process that I enjoy. And then uh I don't know. I don't like LA that much. I mean, we went to like a few cool spots, but it's like I think it's more less it's less about liking LA, more like I like the food in LA that I could probably get elsewhere. So it's not
Did you ever
really.
go? Did you ever go
It's
with
the
us to the taco truck?
No, that was the day I was
It was
just like
so good.
jet lagged
Man,
and dead.
yeah. No, LA's it's not worth it. I'm saying this as someone who currently lives in LA.
currently is there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth it. The food's good though. You're right. The food is good.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
love the food
it's
in
better
LA.
on a visit.
It's just yeah.
It's better on the visit. But Daniel, you mentioned Medalist. I've heard great things about Medalist. Like
I love
real great
Medalist so
things
much.
about it.
It's so good. Um, if
It's a
you,
sports anime, right? Or
uh,
sports manga, I should say.
Kind of,
yeah, yes,
from what
yeah,
I
not
understand.
even, not even kind of. It is. It's a figure skating.
Mm.
Um, I did not know anything about figure skating going in. I've never seen a skating anime. I've never watched figure skating. I don't know anything about it. But it's like, I'm also not really like a sports series person. I've talked about this before, but like when I'm watching like sports type media, it kind of has to conform itself to the idea of a story. And so at times it will be predictable. Like I watched Blue Lock, and Blue
Yes,
Lock's not really like my type of anime anyway. But I'm sitting there and I predict everything that's going to happen, and at least in terms of outcome. I might not know how exactly it's going to happen, but I'm like, yeah, at the end of this episode, they're going to lose this game, or like, yeah, they have to win this game, obviously. And it's one of those things where
Obviously.
like, yeah, it's typically I don't get into them, but Medalist, I feel like I'm always on my toes, and then I'm so invested in the characters, like they're so lovable, and the art's so great. Just there's no like, I don't think I could name a flaw about Medalist if I maybe if I really tried, I'd have to reread the whole thing and just really ponder something to nitpick.
Picking.
hmm
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just
well,
such a I'm very emotionally invested in everything that like it's the I haven't cried to any manga yet, but I almost have in this, and it's not even like sad moments. It's like moments of like just straight tears of
Pride.
joy almost. Like
Yeah.
holy shit, like that was so good. Like crying from peak fiction type of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's an interesting. I'm someone who watches a lot of sports related series, and
Mhm.
it's interesting because with something like Blue Lock, they kind of almost raise the stakes so much that it has to go a specific way, right? This is one of the things I really liked about Awashi because the format of
Mhm.
Awashi was a little less like you have to win this game,
Yeah, it's less
and it was more
constrictive.
like you have to perform well, and then if you lose, oh well, it's just the regular season. Kind of similar to how a lot of American sports are, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like in any given night in the NBA, you don't have to win one of your 82 games tonight, but you want to win most of them.
Yeah. I
And
I feel like there are two types of sports in it because I'm currently binging Chihiro Fuyu right now.
hell yeah,
Um,
he is the goat.
uh, and I'm absolutely falling in love with Chihiro Fuyu. Like I just started season 3 like the other day. Absolutely falling in love with it. But I feel like there's two types of sports anime. Like the ones like Chihiro Fuyu, like Haikyuu, like what you described with Medalist, where it's just the sport is the main appeal, right? Or the sport's not the main appeal, really. The
Yeah,
sport is just a catalyst for the story and the characters and the drama that you're going to experience as you're falling in love with these characters. And then on the other side, there's stuff like Blue Lock, like Ace of Diamonds, like um, I think those are the only two I can name
Kuroko.
off top that are very extreme. Where it's just like the sport is the main appeal. Like you really got to get into the fact that these characters are very serious about this sport. um, I don't know. I just feel like I find it funny. I enjoy both types of sports anime. I would say I pivot towards shows more like Cherry Fuyu more, which is what Medalist sounds like to me, just from looking at the synopsis and looking at the artwork and all that stuff. It definitely looks like it's more, or it's like using figure skating as a catalyst to like the drama
I
and what you're
You
mean,
gonna
yeah,
experience.
usually,
it is very like it's still like a prominent part of everything.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
But it's like this one's it spends like plenty of time in like practice, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And so that I mean that could be yeah, it knows how to tie everything to the character, and they're also it's just so compelling to like where it is in like chapter one, where you know obviously like confidence maybe not there, um, all the way to where it is now. I love like Inari as a character can definitely fly. Where is she? Where's the power rankings?
she's
She's number 8
top
right
10.
now. Yeah, she's in
Yeah,
top 10. She's been fucking flying up the rankings since I started reading Medalist. I could see her like she could. I mean, she could go far. I don't know. I don't know about taking number one, but uh, it could definitely get into higher contention. Just as a character, she's just so fucking great. And I think she's like part of the reason like the tension is always there. Like I don't know what's gonna happen because the type of character she is, um, she's not like oh, okay, I just got a place on the podium type of person. She's like, I'm going for fucking gold, whether it costs me the silver or bronze or whatever the fuck. And I love that about her character so much. Just since the beginning, she was like, I am putting everything on the line because I have like she starts skating like the whole thing is she starts skating like pretty late, and so she basically has to like speed run becoming the goat. And so she just knows everything's on the line, and she's willing to just stake it even more. Like it just means so much to her, and it's so obvious like through the manga. It's so great, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it seems like a good show.
RJ, have you so I mentioned Awashi when I was talking about it. Have you seen Awashi at all?
I
It's
have
a
not, but
soccer.
I've been told to
If
watch it
you
on
Yeah, I was
multiple
gonna say,
occasions.
if you like the haikus and the chiaifurus and stuff like that, you might
Yeah,
enjoy Awashi. It kind of, to me, skates the middle a little more. Kind of similar to Haikyuu, right? Where Haikyuu is character
yeah,
driven, but there's a lot of volleyball. Awashi is kind of similar, where it's very character heavy, but there's like a very prevalent amount of the sport. Obviously, the baseline of Awashi is, instead of it being like a high school club, it's one of those like schools combined with a team's like farm squad, so like U15 teams and stuff like that. So it's like an environment similar to how Ace of Diamond is kind of like a prepared to be a pro type of environment instead of being like a school club.
yeah. Because I dropped Blue Lock. It was too much for me,
Yeah.
um, personally.
Based.
And when I dropped Blue Lock, a lot of people told me, "Well, we feel like you would like Awashi because what you've been asking for Blue Lock to
Is
be
what
is kind of what
Awashi
Awashi
is.
is."
Yes.
So it's been on the list for me to check out because I've heard, yeah, if you didn't like Blue Lock because it took itself too, because I didn't like Blue Lock, I felt like Blue Lock took itself too seriously.
Yeah.
I feel like every time I see something from Blue Lock, like a spoiler on Twitter, it's just like, what the fuck? Wasn't this a soccer manga? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I Awashi for me is essentially tied with Haikyuu for my second favorite manga of all time.
Mhm.
And the only difference there being that Haikyuu is finished and Awashi isn't finished. And so it's kind of one of those things where if Awashi sticks the landing for me, it'll probably be my second favorite of all time. If it fucks up the landing, Haikyuu will keep its spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always a scary prospect when something's coming towards its conclusion. It's like, please don't fuck it up. Please don't fuck it up. Like, especially because with manga, like if you're repping a series for a long time, it's different than anime, right? Like, I can say Attack on Titan season 3 part 2 is one of my favorite anime ever, and I can
Mhm.
shit on the ending.
Yep.
But with the manga, it's like, oh, I do. Is this one of my favorite now? Because like that part was fucking gas, but this part I really don't like, and it's difficult to rate something that like you like 99% of it, and then like that 1% is like a stain. You're like,
Well, this is like, to me, one of the deep-seated fears of One Piece fans, because I think consensusly all One Piece fans believe that Oda is phenomenal and will stick the landing, and the ending of One Piece will be great. But also, endings are hard, and so there's always that thought of like, well, what if the ending just doesn't hit?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care particularly
It
about like flashy. I just want an ending that just makes sense, works, and it's like it doesn't have to be. I think a lot of people aim for the great ending, like the one that's gonna be like holy shit, that like remembered forever. But if you have like a longer running series, like the series in general is gonna be remembered for how good it was, and so you don't need to go crazy. Like Mob Psycho, for example, like everyone loves Mob Psycho. The ending wasn't anything insane. It was very normal, basic ending, but it works.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like with series that hype up the ending particularly because it's just like with One Piece, Oda can do whatever he wants, but he can't fumble what the One Piece is, right?
Yes.
Like that's the biggest thing that everyone's kind of scared of. If that's not kind of, I hate to say it, but if that's not like Attack on Titan basement reveal level, then it's like
Then it's,
it
yeah.
it it might be a fumble, right? Because like I think that's one of the things Attack on Titan did really well was it hyped up that basement for so long, and
Mhm.
then when we finally got to it, we were like, oh my god, that was worth the wait, right? That was actually a really good reveal. Um,
Yes.
so I think that's kind of the thing with endings. I mean, it just depends on the series in general, right? Because it's like what Daniel said, you can still get a satisfying ending without doing something spectacular, right? Like Mob Psycho's ending, great.
Yeah. Like if the
It
One
depends on what
Piece
you build up, right?
yeah. Like if the One Piece is just a fucking huge pile of treasure, but like something good is done with where the One Piece is at, right? Then
Mhm.
it's okay, right?
Yeah,
But if the One Piece is just a big pile of treasure and then nothing more is done with that, or even worse, the One Piece is like a
The
dissatisfying
friends we
concept.
made along the
I
way.
know, yeah. People have made
yeah,
the friends we made along the way joke all the time. If it's something like that, that's the thing to me that's a little scary. It's interesting too because I think over the past couple years, Oda through writing has kind of made it clear that he's gonna write what he wants to write, and
yeah,
it's I feel like the conclusion of Wano and everything with that kind of made it clear that like this is the story Oda wants to write more than the story that Oda thinks the like shonen fans
yeah,
want to read.
Basically, like
yeah,
like it's not constrained by his editor, because I feel like a lot of stories kind of get that
Yeah,
where like
exactly.
the
yeah.
editor might be like, yeah, you should change that. Like,
Like a lot of people
I-
talk about One Piece being really goofy, and I feel like a lot of those center parts of One Piece, especially since the time skip, have been very serious, and then
mhm.
now it's kind of started to be goofy again, and I
I
feel like that's on
Yeah,
purpose.
it most definitely is because a lot of people think the One Piece is going to be something very serious, and it is going to be uh, just hell on earth when it turns out it's not,
Mm,
right? Because the whole thing is the One Piece made Roger laugh. It's like that's
yeah,
what I think the one it's supposed to make us laugh. Like if we don't have the same reaction as Roger, then I think that's when it failed. Personally, I think it's food. Um,
I I
I
think I think
think
the
it's
day the
food.
One Piece is revealed, people might be disappointed, but by the end of the series, I think people will be down.
Yeah. Personally, I think the big treasure is some type of food. Um,
That
but
would be
I think it's
interesting.
gonna be something silly. It's gonna be something silly. It's gonna be something goofy because that's just what One Piece is. And I feel like a lot of people who kind of
They'll
like the
accept it,
series.
or you think they won't be disappointed?
You said
I think
what?
people will be. I think like people will be disappointed, right? Because I think it's clear that this is the story that Oda wants to make. But I think the majority of people, and especially the majority of really into One Piece fans, will probably by the end of the series love whatever it is. That's kind of where I'm at. But I do
Yeah,
think that there will be, based just on it being a goofy story, I do think there will be people, whatever it is, who see it and
it's
just kind of like eye roll.
it's gonna be something ridiculous.
Hmm.
Because that's One Piece is a goofy pirate manga at the end of the day, and a lot of people don't like you saying that for some reason, even though it's
Even
a
though it
goofy
is.
pirate manga. It
That's
is
why we
like
like it, is because it's a
yeah.
goofy pirate manga.
I feel like a lot of people it's like the Dragon Ball Z effect, like what I was talking about earlier, right? A lot of people fell in love with the serious aspects of Dragon Ball Z, the power ups, the power scaling, all that stuff, and it completely ignored how it all started, right? Toriyama writing basically what was a gag manga, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like that's what's happened to One Piece, right? Oda has put in all the serious elements into One Piece that people are forgetting that at the end of the day, it's still a goofy pirate manga. Like, I mean, look at his character designs. It's a goofy pirate manga.
so this is why I put off reading One Piece, because then like by the time it's done and then I read it, I won't be as invested, so I can't be
Yeah.
disappointed. Well, I guess I would be pretty if I go. I'm still gonna be reading like a
If you
quadrillion
spend like
chapters,
a
but
half year reading it, you might be a little disappointed.
I won't be like as invested as someone who's been following this their like literal entire life type of thing. Um, it'd be easier to like bear the disappointment. Uh, like I don't know, like when I was reading Attack on Titan, it ended. I mean, I hadn't been reading since like the very beginning or anything, but I've been reading since like uh, when did I start reading? Probably after season two, so like 2017. So it was a good few years that I was reading it. Like you get a chapter every month or whatever. It's just I don't know. It's one of those things where the longer you let it sit and build up, your anticipation's there, and you Oda has like probably the biggest burden in like the fucking history of fiction on his back, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Like
To stick the landing.
this is
Yeah.
thousands of chapters, the anime's there, so much pressure is like you cannot fuck up the One Piece. You can't let it be called the mid piece or something like that by the time you end it, it's
Mid piece is great.
Yeah, I agree. He has like the world is watching him and he fumbles this bag. It's I think it's gonna exceed the Game of Thrones fumble. I think it's gonna exceed it if he
you
fumbles it.
easily
If he
exceed
Like
the Game of
fumbled, I
Thrones
think it
fumble.
would be.
it's gonna exceed every fumble in the fiction of ever. Like if he fumbles this, like it's really gonna be really bad.
It would be funny to see like the turmoil over that though. And that was the funny thing with the Attack on Titan. Like the fucking community went
Mhm.
from like a pretty good one, honestly, to just broken, torn apart, and like irreparable. And then I mean the anime community has always been whatever with it, but it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I love seeing the turmoil of bad endings, but it's also you feel bad because like you don't want anything to end. You'd rather every piece of fiction be great, type of thing. I guess not every piece of fiction needs to be great, but you know, you don't want
I
it
would
to
rather
disappoint you in the
it
end.
be. Yeah, I'd rather all endings be like thematically satisfying. I because that's kind of where I'm a little neutral on Attack on Titan ending because
Mm.
thematically the just the ending itself to me makes sense, but then some of the like getting there stuff I kind of eye roll too.
I understand what he was getting at. I just don't think the execution was there. Like,
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
specifically in the characters, but also some like the world elements. Like, there, it's just a lot happened in those last like few chapters that just, I, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think his execution was handled very carelessly, especially with a show that has built up so much off of explaining itself, right, in
Hmm.
a very unique and interesting way. I think to leave parts of the main core of your story up to interpretation is just like it's
It feels
off-putting.
rushed. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels rushed. It feels off-putting. It feels like wow, okay. Like the whole thing was to solve the mystery, and then
Hmm.
we're left with a sort of mystery, and it's like, ah, all right. I don't know. It just feels off to me. I think his execution of
Yeah.
his character, and on top of that, it was just like, I don't think you were really building up to, especially the whole love story thing at the end. I don't think you're
He
really.
never should have tried his hand at romance. Like that was like the one
He's
thing.
like,
It has never
exactly.
you've been writing Attack on Titan for over a decade, and you have not once even fucking tried to write romance, and now all of a sudden
And
it's
now
Ex-
you
just
want to
peppered
do.
all over the place in the end, and it's like,
Exactly. It's like, why did you do this? Why did it have to be a love story at the end of the day? It's like, why? Why? That's not what we were following. But okay.
It's part of the reason why the whole like Oda saying there's 5 years left thing is both a little relieving and also concerning because he says that, but then it's clearly more than 5 years at least seemingly. So it's like it's not like he is rushing into like this 5 year timeline. But then I'm also like, it's hard to know, and I can't imagine anyone at this point putting pressure on Oda to finish the series faster than however much he wants to write. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's one of those things where it feels like so many of these series get kind of rushed at the end for one reason or another. Maybe it's pressure from the publishers or like the editors, or maybe it's just like self pressure of like, oh, we're almost at the end. I just really, you kind of get ahead of yourself, and it's like I just really want to show the end. And it's hard to say that like anyone's done that, but I feel like I see that in myself in writing sometimes where it's like you get kind of close to that end and it's almost like you just want to get there because you're maybe
Yeah.
so excited about it or you're so like ready to be done with the series. And so it's one of those things where I don't see any of the writing on the wall for any of that stuff with Oda, but it's also like in the back of your head, right? Like what if something near the end rushes the end of One Piece the same as so many other series have kind of felt rushed near the end.
yeah. I mean, it is definitely one of those things. Like with some authors, it's best not to like get stuck in how you envisioned it initially, because as you're writing and over time, maybe with like one book, but like as you're continuing maybe like a series, you don't want to get stuck in this is the ending, this is the ending I envision, because sometimes things change and maybe you like start writing a character differently. Like it doesn't really fit what I initially envisioned. I bring this up like every time, but with ReZero, this was supposed to be especially a one arc little thing, 5 novels maybe. Here we are in this basically the same arc, even though it's been split into two, 12 novels later, or 11, whatever the fuck, just for this one arc, basically. And it's like, some people maybe get tired of it and want to move on, but it's one of those things where I'd rather let them cook than be like, okay, move on, move on, move on. Because the moment you get trapped in like, okay, event, this has to happen, you lose what you're doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't get lost in the sauce.
Is that the message?
Yeah.
Yes, don't fuck it up. That's the message.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. So, question. I change this question a little bit every time I ask it. I feel like, but it's basically the same question I like to ask on some of these guest episodes. Is there any lesser known series, and we can all answer this, any lesser known series that you would want to really recommend to people?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, I know you've
Um,
asked this. I'm not sure.
So, like for me, this could be any format, right? Because for me, I don't know if I've talked about it too much on here, but I've definitely talked about it some. For this episode, I'm going to recommend the light novel for Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash,
oh, okay.
which has come up, I think, a few times when I've talked about it, but I've never really like recommended it. I've just kind of like people know that I've read this, at least good portions of it, but it's quite good,
Hmm.
and it's similarly to a lot of the stuff I think I like about 86. I
Mm-hmm.
think Grimgar has a lot of those similar like tones where it really builds up a ton of that tension, and there are like a lot of real stakes and a lot of real punishments in that series. And the anime was okay, but I just
Mm-hmm.
think the novels are like blow the anime out of the water.
Okay. All right. I saw the anime. I've never read the novels.
Some of the later novels, or even like first couple novels after the anime, in my opinion, are phenomenal. And I liked the anime, right? I watched the anime before I read it, and even the anime showed some of that, like really kind of setting these high stakes in actual like actionable punishment for mistakes within the series.
Right.
You can go ahead.
There is a lot
I know
of
this is a loaded question.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
underrated. Can I only say one? Am I only allowed to pick
No,
one?
you could say a couple.
Okay. One, two.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be stuff that like the average anime fan would know, but I think of it as more of like, we're not recommending the One Pieces or My Heroes to people, right?
Yeah.
It's more of
Mhm.
like what are kind of the niche shows that we've seen.
Okay.
I'm only giving one because I at this point I think most of my favorites are out there, and
hmm.
I'm on this podcast every week, so a lot of those come out. But especially for you, I think multiple is valid.
All right. I think all of these are kind of easily accessible. Maybe not one of them. But, so the first one I'm going to recommend, they're all three anime. The first one I'm going to recommend that I absolutely loved was Yosakura Quartet.
Okay,
Um, it's
I think
like
I've heard of it,
it's an
but
action show. But
Uh,
Did you get
did he die?
hello?
Oh, hello.
Arjun?
dude,
I'm sorry.
oh, okay,
Did that cut out for a second?
Yeah, you
Yes.
died.
yes,
Okay, I'm back. All right, so Yosakura Quartet is an action kind of a battle shonen manga, of course turned anime. I don't recommend the original anime. It's kind of a terrible adaptation, but the reboot anime, Yosakura Quartet Hana no Uta, and the OVAs after that are very well done. And actually, some of the best action sequences I've seen in anime, period. Um, and I feel like a lot of action fans would absolutely love Yozakuro Quartet, the anime. Of course, you can also read the manga and just or the anime, but I think the
Yep.
story itself, it's a pretty cliche, typical story, right? Demons live in society with humans, and they're trying to coexist. We've seen it all times before, but I think it does the tropes very well, and I think it does its tropes probably like the best I've seen. Like it's tropey, but at the same time, it's like it's the tropes that action fans love, right? So if you're an
Yep.
action fan, you'll probably love this one. It's one I highly recommend. The next one is a sports anime. It's one of my favorite sports anime. It's called Cross Game.
Yep.
Um,
That is a good one.
I absolutely love Cross Game. I love anything Adachi, the mangaka. I mean, he does baseball anime after baseball after baseball manga, but his favorite one of mine is Cross Game. It's like a romance baseball manga. Emphasis on the romance sports aspect because it definitely healthy balance between romance and sports, I would say.
Well, yeah, I
Um,
know someone who recommended this show. I was like, the name sounded familiar, and I saw the artwork, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen someone who
yeah,
said the show is really, really good. So yeah.
it is really, really good. It's completed. Unlike Yozakuro Quartet, it is completed. I think it's about 50 something episodes.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
so a pretty lengthy binge. But it
Cross
is
Game is
completed.
one that I've looked at reading for a while, and I haven't quite gotten
Yeah,
to it, but it's been on my radars.
I think that's that kind of main appeal of anything Adachi works on. It's like he knows when to stop. So he's in there to tell a story, and he tells that story, and then he leaves. He doesn't overstay his
Yep.
welcome. And I love that about Cross Game. It's you get in there, you watch a story, and you get out, and it's a very emotional story, and it's very good. It's one of my favorite sports anime of all time. Highly recommend it. The third one, kind of cheating a little bit because it's not technically an anime. It's technically a Chinese anime or donghua. It's called Legend of Hei. Um,
Legend of Wait, what was the word?
Hey.
the Legend of Hei.
Hey, okay,
Oh,
okay,
I
okay.
see it. HEI.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it started out as kind of watch this.
Interesting.
I kind of recommend to watch this one out of order because it started out as a web series, which you can just Google on YouTube and you can watch the episode web series. It's
Okay.
like 5 minutes an episode, right? Um, and it started out this comedy web series. I don't recommend starting there. I recommend starting with the movie because they released a movie afterwards, which is like a prequel movie, which is how I got into the series. There's a prequel movie. You watch that prequel movie, and then you watch the web series. Be way more invested, um, because the prequel movies they kind of got their footing of the story they want to tell.
Is the
And
prequel movie the one specifically by the name Legend of Hay, or is it the
the
Little
prequel movie is
Hay?
Shell, whatever. Yeah.
yeah. The prequel movie is the one by specifically the name Legend of Hay.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that one. Yeah, this is the web series.
Right.
So I watched because if you watch the prequel movie before, yeah, there you go. If you watch the prequel movie before, it kind of gives context of what's going on in the web series. I watched the web series afterwards, and I was like, I literally wouldn't know what's going on if I didn't see that movie.
Hmm.
So I definitely recommend watching the movie. And it's not only a spectacle and animation. I think it's very well done within the storytelling. It's also very wholesome. Has something for everything. Not romance fans. There's no romance in it, but it is a nice
Everything
wholesome.
else.
Yeah, everything else, action, slice of life, whatever you want, right? Everything else, and the character designs are like really good. Like it's like a mythical kind of world, and the character designs are really good. And
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite donghwas.
I like the art I'm
Um,
seeing here. This is one
but
I've
yeah,
never heard of, so
yeah, the director actually directed. I don't know if it was like for a game or something, but he directed an animation for Pokemon. It's like the newest Pokemon animation. His name is MT something, and he just directed the
TJJ.
new. Yeah, he just directed the new Pokemon animation, and I saw it. I was like, this looks like Legend of Hay, and lo and behold, it's the same animation director. So I'm like, okay. But yeah, he's really good at what he does.
New Pokemon. Oh,
Highly
I
recommend
see.
that one.
I have not seen this animation either. It's a little newish by the looks of it.
But yeah, those are my three.
Ooh, I'll watch that later. That does look
Mm.
quite good. All right, I like that. That's like a good mix
Yeah.
too of stuff that I've heard of versus like this last recommendation is
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
no
But
idea what this is, but I
to
look
be
at it.
fair,
I
I
mean,
don't
the,
have.
the
Yeah, outside
art,
of Link, like I haven't seen
yeah,
Chinese shows, but
the
yeah,
art on the page is beautiful. Also,
yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I,
it's an underrated one.
I guess mine would be. I mean, I've talked about the show a lot in the podcast, but I guess it's people know of it. But Nagi no Asukara. It's like the ocean anime. I don't know. I
Lull in
just
the
like
Mm,
Sea,
love.
right?
What's that?
It's Lull in the Sea, right?
Lull
That's
in the
the
Sea. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the.
yeah.
yeah.
I was trying to think of the English name. I was like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that
Have you
one.
seen it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love like
it,
the art and the music of that show. That show, it's like that stuff is like aesthetically just beautiful. That's like the main reason I just really like the show. Like I think it's like very
Mhm.
yeah, just aesthetically pleasing. I can't think of a better word. It's just like a very, very nice. It's very easy on the eyes. So that's a show I like. I mean, I think the story is like it's cool too. I mean, it's just like the duality of like the sea versus the land, that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
incorporated very well into the story. And so yeah, that's like a show I just really, really like. And it's not like super unpopular and not that well known, but like it is a show that I don't see that many people talk about. So that's my recommendation. I really liked it.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
I think Daniel's the last one, or did you already?
Oh, I'm actually giving a. I know he gave his. I don't know we were all giving ours. What?
You can. I mean, we talked about Medalist a lot in this, and I feel like Medalist applies. We just
Yeah.
talk about Medalist a lot on the podcast in general.
Let's see. I mean, have you seen Tsukigakure, the anime?
I have not.
Maybe this one. Yeah, it's a really good romance. You said you liked romance, so congratulations. I have delivered peak.
Hey, all right. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, this is on my plan to watch list.
It's really good, really good. Like art wise, character wise, pretty good music. The CGI is the worst thing you'll ever see in anime ever, but it's just for
Mhm.
like random people walking, so it's not that big of a deal. Not even just like I don't know. It'll be like specifically during cutaways, like they'll cut away to like like it's like like the film thing, like you'll cut away to like a wide shot of something or whatever, establishing shot, that type of thing, just to keep pacing and
Mm.
flow. They'll do that, and then they'll just have people walking through it in like full CGI, and it looks like dog shit. And I don't even know why they put people there. They could just like leave it as like landscape, but uh, yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
one thing I did want to mention, because you were talking about cross game earlier, and I
Mhm.
don't know if you have Blue Box on your radar, but Blue
Oh,
Box
oh
is
yeah,
getting an anime
yeah. No, I'm
soon.
caught up on the manga.
Yeah, perfect. Do you like it? It's one of my favorites, but
I
consensus
think,
between our friends is kind of mixed. No one
yeah,
specifically dislikes it, but
I'm only like
I
halfway
think,
through-ish.
I think it has a very, very, not very. I think it has a rough start.
it does. I
I think
would agree with this. I think the start feels very
it's like
just bland
the
almost.
the author. It's bland, and the author didn't really find his pacing with how he wants to, like, with the story he wants to tell. And I think his pacing was a little off. I kept reading because I was just like, I'm into romance. It's not bad. As for the recent chapters and like the arc that we're currently on, um, he's been cooking. He's been cooking ever since the big moment. I don't want to spoil it, but ever since the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
moment, he's been cooking since then. And I've been enjoying the crap out of it. It's a rough start, but I think it's worth it. I
Bro,
think it's worth it for what
I
the story he's
just
telling right now.
I just found out the Blue Box author, um, she was born same year as I am. Funny enough.
Oh wow.
Congratulations.
So not that what am I doing with my life
You guys are meant
moment,
for each other. You know.
I was gonna say
but
she's writing
but
manga and Shonen Jump, and
um
what am I doing?
exactly. But I just happened to click on her page because at first, um, I was like, is it a male author or a female author? Because I wasn't sure. And
Yeah.
I clicked on her page and saw 1995 birth year, and I was like, oh shit,
You know
me
what?
too.
She doesn't have a anime podcast running 91 episodes. You got that
You don't know
going
that.
for you.
You know that.
You're right. I don't know that. It could be
You
really
haven't seen
underground.
the
No one knows
Japanese
about.
anime scene on YouTube, bro. You know.
I do hope that the anime will be quite good, but I agree with the fact that it kind of has a rough start, and so
Mhm.
I'm a little nervous because obviously the anime is going to be starting from the beginning. So it's like a lot of the stuff I really like about the series might not even be covered in the initial
Yeah.
first season.
If they're smart, they will definitely correct the pacing issues and kind of take out the stuff that the author included that really didn't need to be in there. That kind of was just like, all right, like read. I think reading not Blue Lock, Blue Box weekly, was kind of a detriment to
Was
the
rough,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of rough at the beginning because it was just like, oh my god, nothing happened this chapter. Um, but I think if the animation team is smart, then they would cut out the middleman, cut out, oh, we
This
don't
is
need this scene.
one of the few that I would be like, yeah, cut some content. Just do it
Yeah, it's,
smartly, but like cut a little content, get to the real good stuff.
yeah, it's like you don't need this random scene. Like this chapter doesn't need to be a whole episode. It's like we can speed this scene up. If they're smart, they'll end the anime where I hope they end the anime. Which is kind of like the
Yeah.
end of, I guess, what be part one of the story.
Yep.
If they're smart, they'll end it there, which I hope they do. But we can only pray,
We
right?
can only pray. It's interesting. So far all the art and everything, like the casting I've seen for it has looked quite good. I've enjoyed
Mhm.
the decisions that they've made so far, but that only means so much too, right?
Yeah,
Until I see the first episode and really get to decide whether I think it's a hit or a miss, it's hard to really say. But it is a
yeah,
series that I am quite fond of, and it's another one of those like sports, but also kind of romance, like skates a little bit in between that
yeah,
series,
definitely.
kind of gives you a little bit of both worlds in a way that I, as a fan of both of those genres, enjoyed because
Mhm.
it did give me some good sports moments while also not like spending 70 chapters in the tournament while I'm sitting there like, but what about the girly, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think it does very well. Like I said, currently the current arc is she's cooking. She's cooking. Like,
Current
and
arc, I read the newest chapter today and
yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah, that's quite the chapter.
Yeah, she's really cooking with this one. I was
This
like,
isn't one
okay,
of as a sports fan, this isn't one of my favorite um themes, but I think she's handling it so well that I'm like, okay, I'm down.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too many thoughts on Blue Blocks. All I know is my favorite lost.
You need to catch up.
But my favorite isn't the winner. Or once again,
Yeah,
split down
Daniel.
the lines.
Yeah, Daniel is a Hina fan.
Oh, don't get it twisted. I am also a Hina fan.
Yeah, that's valid. I
I'm right
feel
there
like
with you.
Handshake.
as a Chinatsu fan, I sometimes am in the minority, but it might be our friend group because I think almost everyone else in our friend group who has read it is Hina fan.
Yeah,
It's not my fault. She's the better pick.
yeah. Hina came in swinging hard. I was like, oh, you're not gonna win. This is gonna break my heart.
I mean, I on the tier list of like potential love triangles that had a clear like faded winner. I think Blue Box might
I
be
mean,
near the
yeah,
top.
from like
I
frame one, it's obviously like you know what the end is, but
the
it doesn't make
original
it
one
hurt any
shot,
less.
yeah, the original one shot, which is also quite good, is literally about the two main characters.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like it's just one of those things where it's fun, but also you don't even get the fun of thinking for a second, really. that it was going to go a different way.
Yeah, not at all. It's very clear who's gonna win, but it's still like I was still rooting for Hina regardless because I was like,
I
come
love
on now.
Hina. For what it's worth, I don't know from here where Hina is gonna be going in the story from everything,
Mhm.
but it's one of those things where it's like I love Hina. I want whatever path Hina takes in the story, I want to be very positive. And I think so
Yeah,
far through everything, it's been like a really nice character arc for her.
yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
Although maybe a tiny bit more of hers pretty soon. I will say, not a
yeah,
ton of
maybe.
Hina content as of late. Valid, but also could use a good, even as a Chinatsu fan, I could use a good Hina arc pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah. It's been, she's been skipping out on the Hina content ever since. I mean,
The
now
incident.
yeah, ever since the incident.
The incident.
But yeah, I see it coming back because I with the recent chapters, she's been
I
foreshadowing
agree.
that like it's been Hina's coming back.
Stronger than ever.
Yeah, if anyone has any, we're getting deeper in here, almost an hour 40, and then PK has to go soon anyway at 11:30.
I have to go like 10 minutes ago, but I'm
Oh,
enjoying
okay.
the conversation. So I'm pushing the time right now.
Anyway, if
But
we have any final questions for our dear guest here.
I don't have any, but I'm gonna check out more of the YouTube videos that I mentioned because there are a couple others that I was interested in. So
it's been fun. I
Um,
think of all of the guests we've had, RJ and I have the most
you guys are Fate
Yeah,
fans.
and
You know.
of these
Fate,
conversations
hey,
have been
Nodes,
fun.
you know.
it's that
That's
Type
Hey,
Moon fandom. It's what I love about Type Moon fans. When you get in a room with another Type Moon fan, you're just like, oh, we can talk for hours, can't
yeah.
we?
RJ and I could have a total separate like 4-hour podcast about just type
based.
stuff.
Yeah, I feel
Well,
that
not
because on the bus ride back from AX, I hear these goobers talking like because we went to like the strange fake thing,
yeah.
and on the way
Oh
back
yes.
they just keep talking about fate and they get into topics. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? I'm
Bro,
trying to get back to the
we
hotel.
we had you were in the main. Were you at the Strange Fake premiere actually? You probably
I
were, right?
was, yes. I did not miss
So
that.
I was camping in that room since
Mhm.
noon, and so we had seats like 5th row from the front. We didn't
Hey.
go all the way to the front because I was like, this is a big ass screen. We want to be a couple rows back, but I was like center stage, just a couple rows back, like perfect seating.
Yeah. Yeah, it was my favorite thing from last year's AX.
It was
Um
definitely the peak
I
of that.
yeah, just watching Strange Fake, I was like, this is everything I wanted. like
Well,
I
I'm
really
also
hope they don't fumble. I
I
really hope
didn't
they don't
show
fumble
you
that series.
I didn't show you. So you saw the girls' power rankings, but I do have a boys' one, and notably on the boys' one, rank number 2, Mr. Gilgamesh. So
Goated
I
based.
was very pumped.
That I mean, yeah. If the anime looks anything like that special,
If the
I
anime looks anything like
honestly
that
think,
special, it'll compete for my top 5, just out of
yeah.
bias.
If it looks anything like that special, it might just be compete for like the best Fate anime adaptation we've ever had. Like
Hmm.
it really is. I really enjoyed it.
But yeah, Daniel has firsthand experienced how much me and some of our friends can talk about Type Moon, just staying within like FGO even, or
Yeah,
even
man.
just like Fate directly, without even getting into Tsukihime and all the other derivatives.
Yeah, it's criminal that we have a thread for Sakai, but we don't have a thread for Fate, and it just all spills into
We
the
do
weeb chat. You
we
do?
do have a
Okay.
thread for Fate,
It used to
but
not be a thread, but
it's mostly the game players. Mostly we just post our polls in the game.
yeah, you gotta like key a Fate containment zone. That's where I was gotta stay.
Containment zone's quarantine, bro.
No, I mean, they were getting deep into the fucking weeds on the bus ride back. I'm like, how the fuck do you even like get into these like topical
I don't
conversations?
I don't even remember what we were talking about on the bus ride back, but I do remember having like a crazy conversation.
You were all getting into like this is like the importance of like different character like gender specifications, like they have, like, I don't know, it was insane, some insane like lore stuff that like I don't think I don't think I'm into anything that like on that level. So like I don't know, like I love ReZero. ReZero is a fucking, like I've said before, I gotta reread all that shit because there's too much, but that's like the closest thing. It's not even like because I'm going out of my way. It's like I'm qualified to, or I have no choice. It's like a requirement to just be fucking neck deep in lore. But
Listen, to be a Fate fan, you have to have a PhD in
yeah, Fate's
Fate.
what fucking Rick and Morty fans like wish they like. I
Fate
don't
is
know.
100% what Rick and Morty fans think they are.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a rabbit hole of, and it's just an all-consuming rabbit hole. Like I'm still learning new things about Fate, and I've been watching it for like years, and I'm just like, oh, that's what that means. Okay, like it's a whole college course, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's not as like complicated as like some people might make it out to be, but like it's still a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's just
Well,
a commitment.
yes, but the problem is the deeper you get into Fate, the more complicated it gets too.
That's like true for
We
anything, but
listen, Daniel, do not ask Fate fans about the moon. Whatever you do,
I'm not gonna ask
just
Fate fans about anything. I know what I'm doing.
just don't ask about the moon. It's just the moon. Nothing to worry over here.
Oh, you don't want to you don't explain moon cell to him? What the whole moon cell, like, you don't want to explain
Well,
that to him?
well.
I think it's a good place to end the podcast right here, episode 91. If you enjoyed, then that's great. Actually, before I do the intro, because I have that shit like not down to a T, but I have a flow. I can't interrupt that.
You say that, but you interrupt it every time.
Not every time. No, it just depends. If I like start thinking about something else during it, then I interrupt it. And this is one of those times where I would have done it, but I stopped myself because we need to ask our guests, where can we? Oh fuck! Oh my god, I have some in my
Wow.
throat. I have some in my throat, and I don't have water.
RJ, tell
where
us
can we
where
find
we
you?
can find you again.
Any social media
Yeah,
you
you
want to
guys
link?
can find me on the Rise AMV on YouTube. And then attached to that is a Twitter account, Twitch. We also stream on Twitch, and that's about it. Those are the three main places you can basically find me at.
What do you stream on
Um,
Twitch? Do you just kind of like chill, or is it specifically certain stuff?
so me and my teammates actually stream on Twitch. They don't help me with like the content. They're not like in the video, but
Yeah.
so they stream on Twitch. Either we just play video games. But me personally, when I stream alone, I react to a bunch of anime stuff. So like Crunchyroll
Okay.
Awards, like I stream me voting in the Crunchyroll Awards. I stream me voting in the r/anime awards. You know, things like that. Tier list and things like that. Yeah,
It's so
ranking
crazy to
anime.
me that r/anime has better awards than Crunchyroll. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. It's
It's not
go
that
r/,
crazy,
of course, is the real. Yeah.
It's
Getting
not that
outdone by
crazy.
Reddit is
But yeah, getting outdone by Reddit is tough.
I don't know,
Yeah,
company
it is.
company moment. Anyway,
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube.
yeah. So go check him out if you enjoyed this podcast. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever platform you're on, 5-star, that whole thing. Audio only side of things is the Order an Anime podcast on whatever relevant podcasting platform you listen on. Same thing with the YouTube is the Order an Anime podcast. Can't possibly miss us. We're the only one. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST without fail, except for when we do, there will be a new episode up for you to enjoy. So thank you for watching. We hope to see you in another one. Goodbye.